The main idea behind the French-style method is that the parents basically ignore their children and punish bad behavior, while ignoring the good behavior children put forth. This method can be good as long as you make sure your children are not in danger. Letting your children explore on their own is a good idea. Allow children to entertain themselves without hovering over them, and the French-style method can be a beneficial parenting style. The attachment method states that parents should allow their child to grow extremely attached with co-sleeping and long-term breastfeeding. The main criticism of this method is that it will make parents' lives revolve around their children and create spoiled and bratty kids as a result. This is a wrong thought process though, because attached relationships help children grow, trust, and bond with their parents, learning positive traits from them. Research shows that babies thrive when their attachment needs are met. Breastfeeding is often something parents do up until a child is around age 1, but the extended breastfeeding method advocates for breastfeeding to continue past the age of 1. The biggest concern with this method is that it will make your child dependent, though people's biggest reasoning is that they should just stop because the children are too old. Breastfeeding past a certain age isn't bad because a mother's milk has nutrients a child can still take in, and scientists have proven no psychological harm comes out of it. The big reason people dislike it is just the fact that the children are too old in their minds and it's not considered normal. The elimination method advocates for babies as young as newborns to not use diapers. The main concern with this method is that it will allow kids to make messes around the house, along with forcing them to develop too fast. Despite these concerns, supporters of this method confirm that it makes potty training easier and faster, along with not needing to constantly change diapers. The Baby-Wise method calls for the parents to nurse or feed their baby on a set feeding schedule every 2.5 to 3 hours with a full meal and no snacking in between. The Baby-Wise method also mentions playing with the baby, then putting the baby in their crib, leaving them drowsy but awake. This method is not the best method, as when babies are hungry they need their food. Restricting the baby's feeding habits is correlated to failure to thrive and serious harm to children. People say giving kids freedom is too dangerous nowadays, and while that might appear to be true, kidnappings are actually quite rare. Hovering of helicopter parenting can damage a child in many ways, and it doesn't stop bad things from happening. In fact, it can create bad habits in children at young ages. Allowing your kids to make choices boosts their independence and lets them learn to be responsible. People think the resources for infant educators, or the RIE method, is cruel by taking away children's toys, not allowing tummy time, and not pushing the baby in the stroller until they can sit up by themselves. The true meaning behind this method is allowing your child to develop at their own pace. Don't force them to sit up or do tummy time, just let them develop at their own pace at their own time. Also, letting your children play with safe household items is okay and helps their creativity grow. The main concern with Ferber's method is that letting a child cry it out without any comfort is cruel and emotionally scarring, when in fact Ferber suggests controlled crying. Allowing a baby to cry for short periods of time or to cry themselves to sleep might help babies fall back asleep naturally, rather than needing to be fed, rocked, or sung to sleep. Crying for a short period of time before getting external comfort from a parent is also self-soothing for the baby. Swaddling isn't as dangerous as people think. In fact, it can actually be rather beneficial. It helps babies sleep longer. Babies, like most people, have a natural jerking motion while sleeping because they can't control their bodies well. If they are swaddled, they won't startle themselves awake as easily. Just be sure not to wrap the baby too tightly around the legs and chest, and nothing dangerous will happen. It's also best to wait until they can roll over to start swaddling, and only do it for a few months. Co-sleeping is sleeping with your infant in the same bed. The biggest concern on this method is that the parent might roll over and smother the baby. This method actually isn't bad, and it will help parents with stress. If the baby wakes up, the parents will be able to feed them in bed with ease, being able to fall back asleep easily. As long as you don't have any sleep disorders that could be a danger to your baby, there is little risk from co-sleeping and several benefits.